Alright, time to explain the controls for Mobile Suit Gundam Battle Operation. Now, if you've played almost any third-person shooter, then the controls will be mostly intuitive, but there may be a few things that you would not immediately pick up on, so in an effort to spare you the awkwardness of experimentation, allow me to give you a brief overview of the controls. So first of all, the R1 button is how you use your weapon, regardless of what that weapon may be. So if you got a gun equipped, R1 fires a gun. If you've got grenades equipped, R1 throws a grenade. If you got a melee weapon equipped like a sword, R1 is still your attack button. If you're shooting a gun, you do not have to hit the L1 to aim like in a lot of other games. In fact, L1 does something completely different in this. We'll cover that in a minute. Now, R2 is how you switch between your weapons. So you can hold it down to bring up the weapon wheel, but you can also just tap R2 to cycle to the next weapon. And that's what I prefer to do. So once you know what order your weapons are in, it's quicker to just tap R2 to go to the next weapon or double tap it to cycle to the previous one. So you can always see what weapons you have equipped and your ammo status here in the bottom right hand corner of the screen. So the square button is what you hit to reload. Now, reloading takes a long time with the suits that you start with. Actually, what I prefer to do, and here's a gameplay tip for you, is I like to fire a weapon until it's completely out of ammo, which will trigger the auto reload, but as soon as that happens, I'll tap R2 to go to the next weapon and use that up, and then cycle back to my first weapon, which will be reloaded when I go back to it. So that way I never have to wait while a weapon reloads. Now, if you don't fully empty the clip, it does not work like that, but once you get the timing down, you'll see what I mean. You can click the right analog stick to scope in with some weapons, but while you're scoped in, you can't move around, so be careful with that. The L2 button is how you kneel down or lie down. You hit it twice to lie down if you want to, but you have to kneel down to get out of your suit. The way you get out of your suit is you hit L2 to kneel down and then hit the circle button. You'll need to get out of your suit to do some things like repair your suit or capture bases, but we'll cover all of that in the next video. So once you're out of your suit, you're controlling the pilot, and the buttons that we've already covered are exactly the same for the pilot. Now the circle button is basically your action button, so when you can do something with it, you'll usually see a prompt on the screen telling you to press the circle button. So if you're close enough to your suit, you can press it to get back into your suit. So now we've covered all of the buttons that do not use boost. Now there are 3 buttons that do use boost, and you'll see your boost gauge show up in the center bottom of the screen like this. So first of all, the X button is your boost button. You can tap it and you'll boost in whatever direction you're holding the left analog stick. Or you can hold the X button down to keep boosting like that. But what you want to watch out for is the fact that it fills up your boost gauge, and once that's full, you will stall and be motionless and vulnerable for a moment, so don't let that happen. Secondly, the L1 button is for your thrusters, so that's like a jetpack. You can hold down the L1 button to charge your thrusters, and when you let go, you will thrust upwards. So the longer you hold down L1, the higher you will thrust when you let go. But once again, this fills up your boost gauge, so be careful. And lastly, the triangle button makes you charge forward, which can be used as a good attack if your enemy is directly in front of you. This is different than just boosting forward with X. This is actually an attack that will stun your opponent if it hits. But early on, this will also max out your boost gauge and cause it to overheat, so be very careful with how you use it. Now, triangle has another function, which is a counter move. So if an enemy does a melee attack and their attack does not hit you, if you time it just right, you can hit triangle to do a counter move on them and flip them over or whatever. I've done it before, but unfortunately I don't have video of it, which would be very appropriate to show right here. But basically, if you're in a melee fight and your opponent swings and misses, you should be trying to tap triangle to follow up. So anyway, if any of the controls seem slow to you at first, let me remind you that the more you play, the more you will unlock upgrades and new suits that will eventually move and control a hell of a lot faster. So you've got that to look forward to if you keep playing. So that pretty much covers all of the basic controls that you need to know. Now when you get out of your suit, you can enter a vehicle if you find one, but they control pretty much the exact same way that you would, and anyway, you'll spend most of your time in your suit. So I hope that's been helpful. In the next video, I'm going to try to talk you through exactly what you should be doing in a game, like how to score points and how to heal yourself and how to respawn like you want to, etc., etc. So once again, if you don't know, this game is completely free, so go download it if you have not already, and maybe I'll see you in a game. Thanks for watching.
軍の勝利です。